Hello and welcome to a new edition of CryptoKoryo podcast. Today I'm honored to have Jason, co-founder of Flock.io with me. Hello, San. How are you doing?
Hello, great, great. Hey. Good. Thanks for having me.
Great having you. I'm really excited to have this conversation about the AI narrative. And myself being a data scientist, it's actually a sector that I follow closely, and it has been growing recently. In the number of projects and VC fundings that we know that it has also a lot of potentials and potentially actually it's addressing many issues. We know that there is a lot of centralization issues with the current state of AI in terms of big companies like OpenAI, Microsoft, Facebook having control of the biggest models of the GPU supply and of the data, owning the data and having closed models that people, don't really know what's going
Hmm.
on. And we know how big this sector is and it's going to be in the future. So there is a real centralization problem here to the point that even, one of the leading figures, Andrei Karpathy, a few months ago, tweeted about the fact
Yeah.
that he's thinking a lot about the centralization and decentralization aspects. By the way, I was checking while doing my research on that podcast. I saw that you guys had a reply to his tweet saying
Yeah.
that you're also thinking about these issues and you are now actually working on that field, trying to address these aspects with decentralization. We will talk a lot about these aspects, but we always like to start with knowing more about yourself, how what is your background, how did you come to DeFi crypto, and what led you to start
Oh,
Flock.
yeah, cool. Wow. Well, that's a long intro. Yeah, I thought we are gonna go straight to the questions like Andrew Capacity and other people right in this industry. But okay, get back to myself. So yeah, my name's Jason. Actually worked in traditional finance for past 10 years as a head of AI in a traditional top tail banking, where we do a lot of financial related research and applications, especially at that time, knowledge graph, right? Everyone's talking about it. That's the hype before GPT, right? And then just at the anchor of 2022, when GPT comes out, nobody talks about knowledge graph anymore. And I actually have two PhD students. I'm supervising two students in Imperial College London, and they kind of they have to change their thesis basically because they were doing this traditional knowledge graph, and then one suddenly they will be faced challenging from their viva saying, "Oh, why don't you just use GPT?" Right? So yeah, so I think the 2022, this turning point when GPT become popular, well, they came about 2016 already, right? But it's not that popular. But 2022 is definitely a turning point where the whole AI industry, well, plus some crypto industry, like realize, wow, this this large language model is going to change the world, and it's actually changing a lot of the fundamental researches that's currently happening in the traditional world. I always like to make a metaphor from your background as well, Cor. You were data science before, right? So, do you remember like in the early days when deep learning comes out, like a deep, very deep, yeah, well, not in the 90s, but after Fei Li's deep learning thing about image recognition, right? For neural networks, and it works very well in many of the tasks, right? Some of the statistical researchers are still objective to this, right? They say like, we have to figure out the causality about why factor A can lead to factor B, right? But then I mean, at that time, it was a debate whether we still need to research the causality, but until deep learning just beats everything, and nobody now question about whether I need to do a causality analysis for every factors or just leave it as a black box. Let's do some back testing. If it works, then it works, right? So yeah, I think that's where the new trend of the research is going. In the beginning, maybe people still question it. Maybe some people still want to do some traditional natural language processing over the data. Say, oh, we would need to know the causality of the reasoning why factor A leads to factor B. But I mean, see the trend now, like brute force is like beating everything. Oh, by brute force I mean the compute power, right? Um, yeah. So I guess soon in next phase, nobody will question that. And people just say, "Oh, let's put everything through to LLMs, and it will just solve everything." Yeah. So yeah, that's basically the trend I'm noticing. Oh, sorry. Back to my personal thing. So the reason we do decentralized machine learning Flock is actually it actually comes out of a very practical research idea for federated learning and blockchain to be joined together. So that's why we have this name. It's a pun. Flock, federal learning blockchain Flock, right? So I do stand up comedian in my free time, so I like think of some pun terms. Yeah. Um, the reason we do so is federal learning has been popular, like emerging technology in the industry for quite some years. Like since 2017, I think Google is already publishing this and then deploying federal learning in all its Pixel phones, right? For people who predict their typing habits, it's a thing already there. But then when it comes to practice, it's still controlled centrally by Google, saying we are doing better learning, we're not doing playing evil, but there's no way to prove that it's not a false claim, right? If so, I mean, Apple, Motorola, they would happily join this training together, but no, it's not happening, right? Also, in traditional industry, in other areas like healthcare, you'll see hospitals doing federal learning, of course, in several of them together, but you will never see some hospitals do cross jurisdiction collaborations because still, even if you claim that you're doing federal learning, but there's no way to prove the central controller didn't really send data across, right? So it's hard to actually get regulations approved on this. So that's the reason why we want blockchain to join this. It's an essential part of this decentralized federal learning that we have decentralized consensus to make sure we don't need a Google in the middle to govern everything, to boss around all the resources. It's all formed as a consensus for between all the trainers joining the training. So we published this paper and got a best paper award in one of the actually the first AI crypto workshop in Europe, 2022, which gave us a big confidence that okay, this is something that we can deploy. So yeah, then as you see the news recently, then we got our seed round fundraising led by Lightspeed Faction, which is quite a top AI fund, gave us another big boost of the confidence, and now we are soon launching our training platform where different roles in this AI cycle, like planners who planning a job and trainers who join the training, either providing algorithms or providing data, and also the validators who provide, let's say, compute power to help validating the training sets and testing sets, right? So yeah, so we're building this, the claim in the beginning, in last year when we claimed this, that we're going to build this Web3 Hugging Face type of ecosystem. It's hard for VC to understand, but just suddenly for this year, everyone understands it now. Seems like, so, oh yeah, I get it.
Timing is very important, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
For startups and especially in crypto. We're going to talk about the federated learning and the other components you mentioned, but let's talk about the AI narrative in crypto.
Mm-hmm.
As you said, this year, especially maybe in the last 6, 8 months, we've seen a boom on the crypto AI narrative, and even Vitalik, has talked about it a lot, and there are a lot of research going on, and we are now seeing hundreds of projects, AI projects launching in crypto. I recently did a dashboard dedicated to AI, and I'm seeing
Yeah.
already different categories. So we have GameFi projects, for example, using AI. We have decentralized compute projects like IONET, and other similar projects providing decentralized GPU, etc., which is again, as we discussed, important. We have generative AI models with like Midjourney, etc., doing images. We have AI agents like AutoKnowledge. We have inference and privacy-related projects like Modulus. Within all this ecosystem, where is Flock situated? In the crypto AI sector.
Yep. Yeah. So I think many people are, yes, as you said, since about half a year ago, yeah, the narrative starting to be like formalized. Well, and everyone seem to focus on their own layer of this AI crypto intersection. Well, not like in 2017, people claiming that they're gonna do everything, right? Well, it's generally impossible in today's age that one project say they're gonna do the full cycle from, I don't know, from training, computing to all the way to the application, right? I think generally in this intersection there's like three layers. Like for the very infra layer, those are the providers for, as you say, the decentralized compute, decentralized storage, where that's essential for all the AI projects. Basically, you need compute, you need storage, right? How are you gonna put your data? Where are you gonna put your data, and how are you gonna compute your data? And yeah, there's many players as you mentioned, IONET, Akash, some new coming soon, and also for the data. I think for the data part, maybe there are lots of old players who can still be very strong in this industry, like because days ago, ages ago, like those old protocols like Ocean, they've already been thinking about this. And data is an essential thing. Even an old narrative from that time to today is still important because there are still improvements needed in this data storage industry, right? It's not just an S3 bucket that you change from AWS to somewhere else decentralized. It's also because LLMs are now a different type of model that requires maybe, let's say, vector spaces or RAG storages, which is well kind of like different from before, right? Where the raw data was stored. So some optimizations can happen in data storage, decentralized data storage as well, where it can just have a better formatting for either vectors or RAG storages to make LLM training more efficient and accessible to more people, right? So yeah, I think there's a lot of innovation that can happen in either compute and data. And the middle layer, we'll call it intelligence layer or compute, or model layer, right? Where yeah, basically that's where we are. The one who can using either their model or their ecosystem, or their mechanism to coordinate, to orchestra resources together, either data, compute, or the applications on the top layer, right? So that's what Flux is doing, and the way that we're doing it is we try to eliminate any central controller. So the whole training platform is every node connecting to each other is fully decentralized, and any people can put up a task, and then their peers can join together. So there's no like central power say you have to do this, you have to do that, right? It's kind of like a self-governed ecosystem. And then on the top layer, of course, there are um applications. Yeah, I've seen a lot of interesting applications nowadays, and I quite like them, right? So AI agents, personal assistants, or chatbots. As you said, also some photo generations. Yeah, friends. Yeah, in some gray areas, but yeah, but I think yeah, and people like it, right? Like people even want to pay for it. It's where I think the huge revenue will comes in, because decentralization helps them to unleash a lot of imaginations in this area, and it's like community governed. It's not like controlled by some central guy, just like the scandal several weeks ago about Gemini, Google's Gemini AI, right? The generation of Gemini is a bit, right? It's kind of like tuned by their own ideology, but it's not suitable for everyone. So yeah,
If we need to, if we want to do a parallel with the Web 2, we mentioned there are three layers: the infra layer, the intelligence layer, and the app layer. On the Web 2 side, the infra layer would be something like NVIDIA, for example. Can we say the intelligence layer would be AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google, and cloud and stuff, and then the application layer is like ChatGPT, Midjourney, this kind of stuff, and you are
yeah,
competing with like AWS, etc., providing the parallel
that's a big
orchestration of.
claim. Yeah, that's a big claim. So I would say yeah, that's a big claim. So I would say AWS, Google, I mean, what they're providing, they're still a provider of infra, right? They're still providing compute and all the infra that can help startups or companies to build upon them. So more in the Web 2 world, I think on the mid intelligence layer, uh, it's more relevant to libraries like PyTorch, Kaggle. Oh, sorry. Yeah, like PyTorch, TensorFlow, yeah, PyTorch, or platforms like Hugging Face, Kaggle, where yeah, the resources can be orchestrated together to get results. I think those are more on the intelligence layer part. Yeah, and then application as you mentioned. Yeah.
Let's talk about Hugging Face. You mentioned Hugging Face. On your Twitter bio, you mentioned that Flock is kind of Web3 Hugging Face. Now, for those who don't know, Hugging Face is a hugely popular collaborative platform hosting NLP models and transformers, LLMs, with more than 400,000 pre-trained models, 100,000 datasets and applications, 30,000 followers on GitHub. Is really
Wow.
maybe the most established kind of platform for at least NLP. Why do we need a Web3 Hugging Face? What is lacking with, what is the problem with Hugging Face
Yeah,
as we know
I
it?
would like so I would actually like to use Chris Dixon's read write own type of methodology to explain this. So I think in this world, in this collaboration AI collaboration world, we had two successful platforms in the past, like Kaggle and Hugging Face, and possibly next one, Block. The reason is like for Kaggle, it's a bounty. It's basically a bounty website, right? So people put up a task, maybe 200K down as a bounty, and the other developers join, either train or compete to get a better results. Yeah, yeah. But generally, it's a read stage where um you're actually running your own model on your own machine, and then you're just posting your results, and then to compete with others. So it's a read stage, right? And Hugging Face is a step further, where I think it's a read-write stage, where actually you can host models. You can easily spin up an instance on Hugging Face to host your models, to tune your models, and to put up your own models on Hugging Face, where you can earn fame, of course. And then sometimes if people put down some bounty tasks, you can get some revenue, but that's completely like discretionary to the owners. So you don't actually earn that model once you put it up there. So it's like open to everyone. And also the data part, like if you want to build on Hugging Face, it's open to everyone, right? So you actually cannot get what I call the last mile of privacy data, because it's still a sample data, publicly online, but the power of public data is limited. Like many of the very precious data are actually hidden deeply in your phone or computer, right? So it's, yeah. So with Hugging Face, I would say it's more read and write. Yes, because you can actually write your own model and you can actually publish it, and then you can earn yourself fame and fortune in a way, right? And well, many people are doing so. Like you get higher score in Hugging Face, you can easily get hired by Google in the future. So that's developers exit on let's say on Hugging Face, right? So
Scientists. I mean, what
yeah,
we have like GitHub is for software engineers. Hugging Face is kind of for data
yeah.
scientists.
Yeah, and then read, write, earn. That's where Flock was trying to get in. So sorry, read, write, earn. Right. Not only just read and write, as I mentioned, put up a task and then join training, show your ability, but also actually the models owned by you. Because of the transparency of the transactions behind. Like it's all transparently auditable, right? Even when the model is sold to another party, that users who contributed to it are still getting incentives from the usage in the end. So basically, it's a way that users can own those models, own the contributions they are actually building and contributing to the world. And plus, a good thing for federal learning is you can actually call up a wider community who holds their own private data without needing to worry that, oh, I have to put my data up to any public space. It's still private in my part. So yeah, the ownership adding to this platform is where I think Flock has its niche and frontierness of this.
Amazing. So we mentioned a few things: private data, then ownership, and also incentives. All right.
Yeah, yeah,
We're going to talk about ownership and private data, but let's talk about incentives. We know that one of the key elements of Web3 is through tokenization mechanisms. We can incentivize users and get adoption, and this is what all protocols are using now. There are like kind of Ponzi ways of doing this, and there are more kind of sustainable ways. I'm already seeing terms like train to earn in some of these AI like
many of
kind
them.
of
Yeah,
using, but I'm thinking about play to earn that we had in 2 years ago with Axie Infinity, etc. We saw how kind of a Ponzi that turned out, and in a bull market, new people coming and using, and it works. But we know already, any data scientist know, any AI startup knows how costly it is to train models. It's cheaper if you want to fine tune, but if you want to go,
yeah.
train your own model, it's very costly. So how can we earn to train? How where does it come from if it's not a Ponzi?
Yeah. So I think the very important thing to distinguish a Ponzi with a real business model is whether there are real revenues or real revenue streams coming from external partners, right? External clients, like for example, the ones I can't disclose names right now, but for the validators that are going to join our training platform soon by May, they've already found their own clients who's going to do medical consultancy, where it's a consultancy firm already. So they are going to put up a task on our platform to train some of the easy health, well, Apple Health Kit type of data, and then get those models and then sell them to the to the consultancy firm in medical world. So basically, they're gonna pay into the protocol. So I think the very important thing is, if it's a Ponzi, it means like people are just compute for nothing, right? People just joining or training together, compute for things that's only just competing with their peers, like a battlefield, but it's like a zero sum game. Then that's a Ponzi, like everyone's zero summing themselves, right? So the way Flux doing, and we're hoping this ecosystem to do it, is we have real business cases. We don't just accept all the validators who have a huge GPU farms. I think that's not important. The important thing is you have a business case where the revenue stream can come in and it can share with all your participants, right? Either they provide data, provide algorithm, provide GPUs, that's all fine, but make sure that that's a real business case that is landed either in DeFi, healthcare, banking, all of these areas that we support, right? So I think that's important. Yeah. And yeah.
Perfect. So with that introduction about the AI narrative and the Web2 counterparts, let's now talk more specifically about Flock. So I've seen in your documentation that you present Flock as quote, Flock is an end-to-end co-creation stack integration, decentralized federated learning on chain. So let's try to
Yeah.
decode that a bit, part by part. First of all, end-to-end. Does it mean that Flock is providing a platform where from data handling and reading all the way to production deployment, you are developing a platform. Where is the end-to-end
Yeah. So
part?
end-to-end part basically for is for users who can who can basically join. What we are trying to deliver in end-to-end sense is a seamless experience for our users, right? They can be completely zero knowledge about any technical terms, but they just host some of their private data. They join the platform. They can one click to join a training. They don't have to understand all the rocket science behind, right? Or for developers, the barriers even lower, that we have APIs and SDKs. They can plug in their product easily to us. So yes, as you said, from preparation of data, preparation of algorithm, all the way to the delivery of the model. So yeah, from our end to end, basically is from data to model, right? And then yeah, when it goes to production of the applications, we want to work with partners like other application layer projects who can use those models, who can put their models into production, into commercial, right?
So, okay, you mentioned about users. Who are your users? Are they data scientists? Are they users of AI agents like normal people would use ChatGPT? Are they protocols? Who are you
Yeah,
addressing?
so in our sense, when it comes to people joining this whole ecosystem, basically three parts of them, like we call them planners, trainers, and validators. But of course, end user, as you mentioned, those who are just playing around with GPT, right? So the three core roles, planners are the ones who can put up a task. For example, I'm a consultancy firm. I just want to, as I mentioned, do medical consultancy, and I want to put a task on Flock because it has a wider accessibility to data and population in this decentralized world, right? And there are trainers, as I mentioned, those, in your sense, developers who join and who want to create models, earn some incentives and fame in their online appearance. Presence. And thirdly, the validators, those who provide compute. I mean, there's a lot of players in this market already, like we know those names, right? Who want to join and provide a validation to make sure the network's working as expected, instead of people playing evil, giving some garbage data. Yeah.
So in terms of, we mentioned about Kaggle, we can say planners are those who will actually create tasks on
Yeah.
Kaggle or on
Yeah.
Flock.
Yeah.
It can be an AI startup, say, or just a startup that they don't have AI like data scientist resources. They can say,
Yeah.
we need that task. Then the trainers are data scientists, software engineers, developers who can actually work on those tasks and then get rewarded
Yeah.
in the same way as Kaggle.
Yeah.
And then you need this network to run, so you need validators which provide their own GPU, and then you will get incentivized. These validators, is it something that you're doing on your own, or are you working
Oh
with
yeah.
other?
I'm working with decentralized. Yeah. We can't just do it on our own. It's not decentralized enough, right? We need to make sure it's well decentralized to a large group of them. Yeah.
So now let's talk about decentralized. When you say decentralized, are we do we mean the GPU compute is decentralized? Do we mean the models and where they are hosted are decentralized, like Filecoin, etc.? Do we mean that the models are permissionless? And what do we mean exactly by
Yeah.
decentralized?
So permissionless is a good term, and yeah, models are permissionless. That's definitely one of the key terms when we say decentralization. But also, governance is decentralized, as I mentioned too, right? We can't just control all the validators. That's not decentralization. We want to work with our partners. We want to invite a lot of people to join as validators, so we don't control it. It's a community that's governing the training, so it's like proven to be true that this algorithm, this result is actually true to the question. So yeah, permissionless is a key point when we talk about decentralization.
Perfect. And then the last aspect of it is this federated learning,
Yeah.
federated machine learning. For those who are less familiar in the audience, can you elaborate on what's federated learning
Yeah.
actually?
So by the term, right, federated, that means a group of nodes, they gather together, but they not necessarily share anything to each other. So that's federated learning. It's still a machine learning framework. It's just the compute happens locally on edge. So I don't have to put my data to any third party. Then how the model converge? Basically, they only just pass on the gradient change of a model. For example, when a local model comes to my node, train on my own data, there's going to be a change of the model weights, right? So that change, we call it delta or gradient change. We will pass that to the next person. Next person get the change on my own local model, and then train on my own data. There will be another change of the gradient, then pass on to the next one, next one, next one, next one, until maybe me get the data again. I know there's a cycle and it's fully completed. So that's one epoch, and then we do another, do a third, right? So that's a way we don't need we don't need any one in the middle. B, my data is never sent out to any third party, and C, it's actually quite secured. So upon this, based on this, there are also many other security transmission technologies that can add on. So because there are also people worrying, okay, even if you are transmitting, I guess that will be the next question. So even if there are people transmitting those delta of the change, maybe still risky. So of course, it's already not your data. It's like a very minimum derivative of your data. But then yeah, there are still techniques that can make this transmission even safer. Like for us, our first technology is called deep gradient compression. Like we're compressing those transmitted delta to less than 5% of the original size and transmit across. That's how we actually make Flock run very efficiently. That even 7 billion Llama 2 in the early days, we put this on our GitHub already. It's an experiment. 6 computer, 3060 graphic cards, 6 computer, fine-tune a 7 billion Llama 2 and in 4 hours. So it's perfect. It's like a feasible. But nowadays, I see a lot of experiments as well. Like people even train a 2 billion model from scratch in a federated learning way, right? So that's what we are envisioning. So it's gonna happen. The compute power is just gonna be boom in the next several years, anyways, right? We need to think ahead. So nowadays, maybe training is still hard, still very still very resource consuming, but it's coming soon. Like, and also importantly, small models like models under 3 billion, this is going to be a very uh, important battlefield when it comes to decentralized machine learning, comparing to those 70 billion, 100 billion centric large language models, which, yes, they are cool, they're beautiful, but you can't put it on edge, right? So, yes, small large language model on edge, federated computing, that's where I think decentralized machine learning should really keen working on. And it's feasible and doable.
Yeah, I think one of the applications of federated learning and this privacy aspect, I remember when I was doing my master's, there was this use case about that they were actually talking about like privacy sensitive data. For example, hospitals. You know,
Yeah,
hospitals have a lot of data about patients that they are not allowed by regulations to share
to
with others.
share. Yeah.
But there is a lot of benefit of sharing this in a de-anonymized and in a correct way, privacy preserving way,
Yeah.
so that startups can actually get all this data and do
Yeah.
research on medical stuff and different diseases and different patients with different kind of
Yeah.
data and genomics. But there is this privacy aspect. So I think this could be
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
solution.
You wouldn't believe, like, you feel like those hospitals, or those, let's say the principals of hospital, they are quite outdated and kind of like old school person, but actually they are our first clients. Like we talk to hospitals in Europe, Asia. I mean, it's they understand federal learning from day one. Feels like there's already super large amount of startups who already pitch to them, and they see it feasible. Like this is probably the only feasible thing in medical area where, or in healthcare area where data can be collaborated between hospitals. It's a need, as you mentioned, right? Because one hospital, they can't just hold everything, right? They want a larger user base to actually tune a model that's better facilitate their diagnose or any algorithms they want to use, right? But B, there's no feasible technology apart from further learning at this stage. There might be some in the future, which I also fully support. As I mentioned, we can use any security technologies in this transmission. Well, further learning is a framework, but add on we can use deep compression. We can also use ZK, as we published paper already, ZKFL, ZK flock, right? So and also FHE, TE, any of those if it works in the future, right? So if it works, I mean, efficiently in the future. So yeah, it works ZK nowadays, but then efficiently ZKML is still a thing maybe in 5 years. Yeah. So yeah, so you'll be surprised to see like hospitals understand this well. Like they've been pitched so many times. They know that okay, this is something that we can deploy today, and yeah, happy to work. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
There are a lot of use cases. Also in finance, actually in banks, etc. They also have similar use cases. Great. Let's talk about agents because this is one of the things that AI agents is a hot trend, and this is
Yeah.
also on your website. One of the things that we can do. I played with your beta. First, let's explain for the audience what is an AI agent
Oh,
actually.
right. I'll say AI engine. Well, it's a fancy way to say a bot, maybe. Yeah. So on old days, people actually will call them. I mean, very old days, call them RPAs, right? So those those bots sitting inside a bank, maybe 10 of them, 1,000 of them, and then that vendor can just leave on it because nobody knows how to fix them. The one who created it maybe already retired. So yeah, and then in the new days that we try to frame it in a better way. Of course, it's more intelligent. It's not just a rule-based RPA like the old days. It's those agents who can actually make sophisticated decisions and learn from decisions, right? To help you do competitive works, let's say. You see lots of those, let's say, in prediction market. I think lots of the public chains they want to promote this. Also due to the to the nature of widely crypto. Yeah, they like it. They like prediction market, right? So agents can, well, yeah, just like RPS or bots, they can help automate many of the processes in your let's say in your trading, in your daily work, in your scheduling, and many of those. I've seen some of my friends, hedge funds. They now turned all into AI agents. They basically deploy AI agents on every of their decision making stage to make everything seamlessly in their whole decision tree. Yeah, integrated. Yeah. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's not far from us. It's like you think of a bot that can help you. For example, every day you get up, and that AI agent can help you. Press start for your Nespresso, or just starting to heating up your morning bath, right? So things like that. But that happens also in crypto world as all the processes in trading, prediction market, or in personal finance, personal assistance. All those happens. Yeah.
So on your website, you have now four agents as of now, at least on the beta. You have the Bitcoin, Ethereum, X1, and Scroll.
Yeah.
Uh, Are they, so I guess these are trained on domain-specific datasets,
Yes.
each of them. How does it work? Is it permissionless? Anybody can add
Yes.
a new agent on your website? Do you have some benchmark to have them on your website? Where is the fine-tuning the data coming from? Is it from governance tokens? Do you have any knowledge of that, or anybody can just add any agent on the
Right. So that's
website?
what we mentioned about permissionless, right? So AI agents, if you want to involve a vast majority to actually contribute, you want to make it permissionless and low barrier that everyone can just contribute, right? So on our platform, as we mentioned, so all the domain specific AI agents that you can just drop a line of content or link or a PDF or whatever that you find online that you think is useful, just drop it in. And what happened next is by users' feedback, like people who querying about the bot, asking questions, and those questions actually use your knowledge, kind of like RAG that can link it to your knowledge, right? Then it's a positive thumbs up saying, okay, this is some part of knowledge that people will feel useful, and also the user can give feedback just like in GPT, thumbs up, thumbs down. Yeah, if there's thumbs down, then yes, your knowledge is contributed to an answer, but people think it's a fake answer, right? So you actually not getting those incentives. So yeah, so basically, as you said, yes, this is everyone can join and it can provide knowledge permissionlessly, but the evaluation happens also to the public. So people can just evaluate whether really the knowledge you provide are relevant and are accurate to the question that people will normally ask. And that's how we just fine tune those models and deploy, just like for Scroll and X layer. They're gonna call it X layer in the future. So we are actually fine tuning a DevRel for them. So it's it's not just a bot that talks about X layer or Scroll. It's the DevRel that people can ask how to deploy on Scroll and what are the code bases I need to use, SDKs I need to check out, and how to write this function, that functions. Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to build this, make it more technically useful to those public chains when they want to deploy. Yeah.
we know that one of the improvements from ChatGPT 3.5 to 4 was this feedback mechanism and
Yeah.
reinforcement learning that people were providing, oh, this is a good answer, this is not a good answer, and then actually the model retraining itself
Yeah.
and then doing improvements. So it seems that this is the way, and also the research suggests that this is the way to
Yeah,
improve
yeah,
LLMs.
because LLMs are different from statistical models where we can have just the one metric say, oh, I need to distinguish cats and dogs in computer vision, right? And the answer is easy, like if it's cat, then it's cat. If it's dogs, it's a dog. It's like 100% accuracy that you need to reach. But for large language models, it's hard. Like there's no right or wrong. I can answer this question in this way or that way. I mean, nobody really have a say you can't do it, right? But so the standard has to come from the public, like for general public, yeah, acceptable by the general public. That's a way to evaluate, okay, whether this is natural as a language.
Mhm. I played a bit with your agents. So I went on the Bitcoin, agent, and I asked when is the date for the next halving, and actually it was accurate. He told me it's in April, and then I said in which week. It told me in the 3 weeks, etc. So it was really good. And when I used the Ethereum agent, I asked it to give me a list of L2, Ethereum L2s, and it told me I don't know. So it's in beta. But what is the
Popularity, yeah. So popularity, yeah. So that's exactly what you are, because Bitcoin is halving soon. So actually on the Bitcoin that bot alone, we have like 85,000 users already. They provide very timely information, and there's also a layer two of Bitcoin, which is popular in a sense as well, right? So there's a huge population doing it. So that's why we want to do permissionless, right? So you need to have a huge population that's focusing or interested in one topic. They are incentivized to join and helping you to tune the model. So BTC model, because of the timing of this time, there's a huge population actually playing around with it. But then comparing to Ethereum, yeah, sorry, but it's less popular at this time. So yeah, we don't see a lot of contribution yet. But yeah, but that's the beauty of decentralization, right? So you put them all up, and you can see the people's participation, and then with a large population, then your model will get even better because there's interest from the public.
Great. Let me ask you a question as I'm a data, unchained maxi. This is a Web3 protocol, permissionless. One of the things researchers would love to have in ChatGPT, etc., is actually having access to these discussions, etc., that is happening on ChatGPT that they could use for their own research. What is on-chain on Flock? If I interact with the bots, is this something that others can see on-chain? There is, and
Okay.
how can they use this data, etc.? And what is the
Yeah,
privacy?
so basically what we are putting on chain is the audits about, for example, as I mentioned, the delta of the gradient change that you're contributing to the model, right? So that's the audit indicator saying, okay, your knowledge or your part of contribution is giving positive effects to the model, and then but not your original data. So basically your own data, the ones that you actually providing is secure. So on chain bit is more about the transparency and also the incentive calculation in the future. The reason we do so is we want to make sure for the privacy is a first concern of this platform, and also we work with decentralized storages like IPFS. You even if you are not that technically, let's say, dip into hosting yourself a node, a Flock client on your own computer, right? You can also just one click spin up compute and data storage decentralized. That's all. I mean, yeah, we govern for you, but the private keys on your side, well, we don't see it. Nobody sees it, right? Then you can just use it, just like using MetaMask for ledgers, right? Because the real way to use ledger is you download everything onto your computer and then you interact with it. But of course, to seamlessly lower down the user barrier, right? There's MetaMask who it's connected, but still, I mean, there's still a certain way that you can interact and easily. Similar to Flock, yeah, we provide clients that you can download to your computer. We also provide a website where you can just easily click and join. So yeah, and on chain, as you to conclude your question, yeah, on chain bit is more for audits, incentive, and those all the metrics that you can see on chain. That yeah, contribution from different wallets. Yeah.
Let's conclude actually with the future of crypto plus AI. I think one of the things that has been lacking in crypto is real use cases adoption, and real use cases, real world use cases, and adoption from not just speculative use cases and buying and selling, etc., degen activity, but also other people who are not into finance, who are not into speculation, who are not there just to make money using blockchain technology. And there are different promises. I think GameFi is one of them. GameFi can bring a mass adoption to crypto, I believe. The other one I believe is AI, because we mentioned about centralization, and it's a real issue, and we could have an answer. Um, but what do you think do we need, and what is lacking for us and protocols like Flock, but not only Flock, the
Mm.
entire AI sector, not just be limited to crypto natives, but to become very attractive to even AI startups who are not into Web3, who are not into crypto, and say, hey, this is actually really so much better than going on Azure or using Hugging Face, that I'm gonna build my entire tech stack, AI stack on Web3. What do we need to get there?
I think, yeah. So, I think first of all, there's a very important driver in this market is the pricing, which I think the whole AI and crypto industry has an anchor on the pricing, which is AWS price, right? So, in any ways, a traditional AI startup, if they want to put a model, I mean, they got pay for either Google, Azure, or AWS anyways, and there's a anchor price there, right? So if in decentralized machine learning, people can provide even cheaper entry barrier, then that's already a good stimulus to all those traditional startups to actually deploy in a decentralized way. A is cheaper. B is it has a wider community and a wider user basis, which they're actually earning on this. So they are happy to join any interesting AI startup bounties to help them train the model better, right? So that's one part which I think decentralized machine learning need to focus on. It's efficient way. Um, and secondly is ease of use, and so centralized way is beautiful when it comes to training a powerful centric model, right? But when it comes to decentralized machine learning, a very beautiful thing that centric model cannot do is the sensitivity of the data, is the privacy of the data, right? Because either you're going to send it off to OpenAI or somewhere else in a third party API, or you're going to keep every user's data locally. Just like many of these face generation applications or voice generation applications, which will use your face photo or your voice as a base. It's gonna be popular soon. I mean, it's already popular. It's gonna be more and more popular in the future because it's just cool. It has a natural viral effect on social media, right? People just like to use them. But yeah, think about a centralized solution where you have to sign term and conditions. Say, oh, I am giving up all my voice and a face to a third party. You don't even know what they're gonna use in the future. Maybe one day you will see a scam FaceTime calling your mom just because you gave your data to any third party, right? So this is an angle I think AI startups in the future will care about. Maybe some local machine learning training mechanisms or applications that can make sure users data always keep local on their phones, on their computers. And yeah, I'm only just doing local compute or local inferencing to the video I want, right? I can still post it, I can still use it on TikTok, but all my data still stays local. I guess those are the areas where I think decentralized compute will finally eventually attract traditional industry to focus on, because it's a need of those industries. It's not just something that we created as a like as an industry or as a sector providing to the public. It's something that public needs that we are actually building for them, right? So that's a different dynamic, right? If you're just creating a need, maybe you need to do your own BD. But then if you are actually satisfying the community needs, then there will be natural inflow from the public. That's what I'm thinking about this.
We'd like to finish the interview with some hot takes. I want to ask you two questions regarding that. The first one is um, not related to crypto, but um, closed models so far are dominating all the benchmarks,
Yeah.
specifically for large language models, GPT-4 and the Google's models and Facebook's models, etc., because they have access to huge infra, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are seeing a lot of efforts on the research side on the open source models, but they are not yet there. Do you think that eventually in the next 5 years or so there will be, the open source models can catch up eventually to closed models, and what kind of trends are you
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
there?
So I would compare with, for example, closed systems like Microsoft, Apple Mac OS with Linux, right? So they coexist till this day still, right? And there are still, very good developments and forks on Linux nowadays, like commercialized Ubuntu, right? So yes, so of course, centralized model will still go ahead and with a very maybe powerful results, just like Mac OS nowadays, having those user experience very cool. But decentralized or open source model will still exist for rest of the for large rest of the share of the market because of, for example, sensitivity needs, because of open source or community earned type of needs that people are trying to build, right? So you can see nowadays Linux is still having a large share of the operating system in the world. I wouldn't say open source model in a sense that will completely compete with centric model, but when it comes to use cases, um, open source model will of course catch up in every of the use cases in every industry, and they'll be like good enough. Yeah, but now there's still centralized training is definitely gonna ace for quite some time because they got a large computation farms, and then they're gonna suck all the data from the world. Where I have an interesting claim, right? Yeah, since 2016, there's no pure data in the world anymore because force data and like GPT data is like bang in the world already. So yeah. So pure human data it died in 2016.
Yeah, actually, this is, I think, a very valid claim. Let me finish with the last question. Following up, do you think that can a majority or at least a good portion of this open source, or open aspect of machine learning, let's not call it open AI because it's confusing.
It's
Uh,
no.
do you think it can happen on chain eventually in the next years?
Oh, purely on chain. Yeah, I think that's a dream. Yeah, that's a good dream for all the permissionless decentralized AI participants like us, right? So a lot of things need to happen. For example, TPS need to be very high, right? That can hold the transaction epochs like easily 10,000 and 100,000 times of epochs of the training, right? It has to be high TPS, high storage, and then, but in a sense, in decentralized way, if you have high storage, high block sizes, whether it's decentralized enough. I mean, this debate has been happening since 2017 already. Like people are debating about the two. So what's the best balance between the two, right? And to encourage on-chain compute, on-chain machine learning, while still make it decentralized enough to the public. Because yeah, and eventually, if on-chain compute happens, it will somehow it's just like the two sides of the balance, right? We have to find a balance. I mean that leads to the development of those public chains or AI chains maybe in the future who can actually find a good balance and also a good like let's say resident channel that can hold on chain transactions but still can hold decentralized appetites of this permissionless world. Yeah, but of course I would say this will come in the future. But this is not what this generation of decentralized machine learning is doing because the technology is not quite there yet, and especially for the hardwares, right? If you want to do on chain, then that every node will require a very huge or a very good compute power, and that's another big question about whether everyone can have that, let's say in their local compute or in their phone, right? So yeah, the many factors are depending are pending, sorry, on this whole future thinking of fully on-chain decentralized machine learning. But we're towards there. Like several years ago, we wouldn't expect AI can do such things, right? Even like in 2021, people wouldn't expect chatbot can be a thing. Like it's like a joke at that time, right? Really, it's like a joke. All the chatbots are just rule based, some answers, questions. I don't even want to tell people that I'm doing chatbots at that time, but nowadays everyone's doing it. So yeah, it might just happen in next corner that we didn't see it yet. But of course, we are like quite bullish to this. And then once it happens, then of course, the full flock can do on-chain transaction, on-chain machine learning, then beautifully. That's the end state of this whole decentralized machine learning world, of course.
Thanks a lot, Jay, for all these insights. That was a really interesting conversation,
Thank
and
you.
hoping you the best for Flock.
Thank you, Carl. And thanks for having me. And yeah, let's keep in touch.